bills which will be debated before the Senate this afternoon. These particular bills are active in the Senate, and later the senators will be going to vote on them in the division stage. And among these bills which are currently active for the second reading, the Care and Protection of Older Members of Society Bill, the Prevention of Terrorism Amendment Bill, the Petition to County Assemblies Procedure Bill, as well as the County Wards Development Equalization Fund Bill, sponsored by the Senator for Murang'a County, Senator Irungu Kang'ata. There will be a motion which will be moved by the Senator John Kinyua on the payment of a one-off honorarium and monthly pension to former councillors. The Senator is concerned that the State Department for Social Services and Security, State Department for Devolution, and the National Treasury have to date not implemented some recommendations which would have seen the former councillors get some payment, courtesy of a petition which was forwarded to Parliament, that the Senate calls upon the principal secretaries to the said state departments and the National Treasury to take necessary steps to implement the recommendations contained in that particular report, which had recommended that former councillors be eligible for monthly pension. Senator Sylvia Kasanga also has a motion that is active before the Senate currently. The last time this motion was debated was on Thursday, 13th September 2018. The motion concerns the enforcement of National Transport and Safety Authority operation of motorcycle regulations of 2015. Senator Gertrude Musuruve also has a motion in the order of business, and this particular motion is active before the Senate. The last time it was debated was yesterday, 17th October 2018. The motion regards the usage of signing exact English, also known as SEE, as a mode of instruction for persons with hearing impairment. And the Senator nominated, Dr. Isaac Mwaura, will also move a motion before the Senate. And the motion is about the report of the Senate delegation to the African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption Conference. The Chairperson Standing Committee on Education will also move a motion on the report of the Standing Committee on Education on the 20th Commonwealth Education Ministers Conference, followed by a motion by Senator Abdullahi Ali on the report of the Global Parliamentary Conference held at the World Bank headquarters. Senator Abishiro Halake will also move a motion on the report of the 62nd session of the Commission on Status of Women, that this House notes the report of the 62nd session of the Commission on the Status of Women laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 17th July 2018. This, among other businesses, will be transacted by the senators this afternoon. If you're just joining us, we are waiting for the business of the day to commence, and the senators are currently making their way into the chambers. Of course, some activity at the door. This broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. It is a broadcast available on Senate TV as well as KBC Channel 1 and streaming on YouTube.
Tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusii ututazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tukuomba utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi hii yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amin.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Order Senators, Senator Maura, not present. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
I see very many papers to be laid. Chairperson Committee Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following report on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, 18th October 2018. The report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the retirement benefits, Deputy President and designated state officers, Amendment Bill 2018, Senate Bills number 2 of 2018.
Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Thursday, 18th October 2018. Number 1, report of the East Africa Legislative Assembly on reports, bills and resolution adopted by the Assembly at the first meeting of the second session of the Fourth Assembly, Arusha, Tanzania. Number 2, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Baringo for the year ended 30th June 2017. Report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Bomet for the year ended 30th June 2017. Number 4, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kericho for the year ended 30th June 2017. Number 5, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kiambu for the year ended 30th June. Number 6, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Kirinyaga for the year ended 30th June 2017. Number 7, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Laikipia for the year ended 30th June 2017. Number 8, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Muranga for the year ended 30th June 2017. 9, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Nakuru for the year ended 30th June 2017. Number 10, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Narok for the year ended 30th June 2017. 11, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Nyeri for the year ended 30th June 2017. 12, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Nyandarua for the year ended 30th June 2017. And finally, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Samburu for the year ended 30th June. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dulo. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, statements.
Order Senators, Statement pursuant to Standing Order number 48-1. Senator Judith Pareno.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 48-1, I rise to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration on the funding of the East African Community by the partner states. In the statement, the committee should, 1, table the East African Community budget and tabulate the amount of money each partner state has so far remitted to the East African Community for the last 5 financial years against what each state was supposed to remit. 2, state the mechanism put in place to resolve the financial crisis facing the community. And 3, state the mechanism put in place to ensure that in future the problems do not occur. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Committee has noted. Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 52-1, I hereby present the Senate to the Senate the business of the House for the week commencing Tuesday, 23rd October 2018. On Tuesday, 23rd October 2018, the Senate Business Committee will meet to schedule the business of the Senate for the week. Subject to further direction by the SBC, the Senate will on Tuesday, 23rd, 2018, consider bills due for second reading and committee of the whole, and also continue with the consideration of business that will not be concluded in today's order paper. On Wednesday, 24th October and Thursday, 25th October 2018, the Senate will consider business that will not be concluded on Tuesday and any other business scheduled by SBC. Honorable Senators, the following bills are due for the second reading stage. Number 1, the Local Content Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2018. Number 2, the Data Protection Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2018. Number 3, the County Planning, Roads, Pavement and Parking Bays Bill, Senate Bill number 18 of 2018. Number 4, the County Outdoor Advertising Control Bill, Senate Bill number 19 of 2018. 5, the County Statutory Instrument Bill, Senate Bill number 21 of 2018. 6, the Treaty Making and Ratification Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 23 of 2018. 7, the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2018. 8, Statutory Instrument Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 24 of 2018. Number 9, the Copyright Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2017. And 10, the Public-Private Partnership Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2017. Honorable Senators, in accordance with the calendar of the Senate adopted on 20th February 2018, the Senate will on 26th October 2018 proceed on 10-day recess to allow Honorable Senators the opportunity to visit their respective counties and engage with their constituents. When the Senate resumes on 6th November 2018, the House shall remain with only 15 sitting days to the end of the session. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me take this opportunity to urge respective standing committees to hasten consideration of aforementioned bills and table reports to enrich debate at the second reading. In addition, there are 15 bills that are due for committee of the whole, and I urge sponsors of the bills and the respective movers of the amendments to avail themselves to enable the House to effectively navigate the committee of the whole and pass the bills before the end of the session. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you and hereby lay the statement on the table of the House. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dulo. Senator Johnson Sakaja.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'll request to make both statements in quick succession. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 48, 1, I rise to seek a statement from the chairperson Standing Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources on the availability and accessibility of water in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, water is a basic human right enshrined in the Constitution, and according to the Water Act, counties are mandated to provide water and sanitation services. For a very long time now, over 60% of the 4.9 million residents of Nairobi have been denied this critical basic human right, and those who've been lucky to access it, it is either contaminated, expensive, or provided in such an erratic manner with constant impractical rationing. The demand is at 760,000 cubic meters against a supply of 503,000 cubic meters daily, and statistics indicate that 6 out of 10 Nairobi residents go without water daily. Estates such as Kaloleni, Shauri Moyo, Industrial Area, Kayole, Umoja, Tasia, sections of Langata, and Pipeline have not had tap water for the last 3 years and solely depend on boreholes and private water vendors. Mr. Speaker, in his response, the chairperson should address the following. What practical plans have been put in place by the county government of Nairobi to ensure that all the residents of Nairobi have access to water? 2, what alternatives have been put in place to ensure that 60% of the residents who do not have access to clean water or connected to any piped water get it and at affordable rates? What plans are there to overhaul the entire water infrastructure system, which is dilapidated and has contributed to residents getting poor quality water due to contamination, where we lose up to 40% of the treated water through leakages and illegal connections? Are there plans to increase the number of public water dispensing machines and bowls, especially in the slums and informal settlements, where the cost of water from private vendors is more than 20 times more expensive than what residents in middle and high income areas pay? What legal measures have been taken to curb the rising menace perpetuated by water cartels who are collaborating with some Nairobi water and sewerage company officials to close key valves, thus denying residents of Nairobi water in order to sell them at exorbitant prices? Are all water bowsers properly vetted and licensed to supply water that is fit for human consumption and use? And to clarify the ownership status of Ndakaine Dam, which is considered a Nairobi County asset, and the revenue generated from it. And finally, to give us a progress on the Northern Water Collector Tunnel, which is meant to bring an additional 140,000 cubic meters of water daily, and when it is going to be commissioned.
Resume your seat, Senator Sakaja. Chair Lance, are you able to get that statement to Senator Sakaja in a week? Chair Lance, Vice Chair Lance, Member. Yes, Senator Prangei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir. In consideration of the matter, which is weighty, and it also touches the lives of the people of Nairobi, and we have to consult so many other institutions and organizations that deals with water, I'll request the Senator of Nairobi to give us 2 weeks so that we are able to tackle the issue.
Senator Sakaja, you're not on record.
2 weeks is good, Mr. Speaker.
So ordered. Next statement, Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also would like to seek a statement from the same committee on demolitions in Nairobi City County. The last few months, we witnessed the implementation of an initiative by the Nairobi Regeneration Team on reclaiming public land, road reserves, and riparian land. The results yielded have seen several high-value properties and buildings such as Airgate Mall, UK, Nakumatt Southern Mall, among many others, demolished. This is an effort that we all support and agree that the rule of law in construction and buildings must be followed and conservation of our environment must take priority. However, we need a more pragmatic approach in dealing with this issue, even as we continue supporting the initiative. Among the 4,000 buildings so far earmarked for demolition in Nairobi, there are innocent Nairobi residents who have purchased apartments and they did their due diligence at the time of purchasing to confirm that the buildings and those properties had all the necessary approvals as required by various government agencies. As a government, we cannot come later and punish these innocent buyers who are mostly second and third owners, taking them through undue emotional pressure, torture, and financial loss. It is absolutely responsible for government agencies to give approvals and even government officials to participate in groundbreaking ceremonies of some of these real estate projects, only to later deny or revoke the approvals, leading to loss of millions in investments and simply blaming it on corrupt officials. These are issues that cannot be handled in such a simplistic manner, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I request that the chairperson in his response should tell us, 1, Which areas in Nairobi City County are officially mapped as riparian land, public land and road reserves? 2, what are the plans for the areas that have already been demolished after the demolition? 3, whether the government agencies have explored and which alternative ways can be explored of dealing with some of these buildings instead of demolishing them altogether. 4, what mechanisms have been put in place to ensure the rights of innocent residents who purchased or invested heavily in these condemned, and condemned is in quotes, properties are not infringed upon. 5, what legal action is being taken against the officials of various government agencies who gave fraudulent approvals? 6, have all the officials involved in all the already demolished buildings been arraigned in court and charged? And Mr. Speaker, the chair of the committee should note that just today, the Cabinet has approved guidelines for the framework for the affordable housing program. But this framework and guidelines cannot be to also demolish buildings of those who are already in houses. I have just come from Mbagathi High Rise, together with the National Assembly Committee. And Mr. Speaker, in as much as we're looking at building plans and drawings, we must look at the faces of children, mothers, and hardworking Kenyans who've done all they can to provide for them housing. We cannot be demolishing the houses and then saying on the other side that we are trying to get affordable housing for the residents of Nairobi and the residents of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, this matter is very urgent, and many people stand to lose their shelter and their habitat. There are thousands who right now are anxious. They do not know what is happening, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, kindly direct that the committee give us a response quickly, and that the committee can also accompany me, Mr. Speaker, across those areas that are earmarked so that they can see for themselves. The last example is just now at Nairobi Dam. Nairobi Dam is man-made. You cannot move people because of Nairobi Dam weather, and it is 40 meters. Finally, the committee should tell us whether the 6 to 30 meters is applied in Nairobi in urban areas, whether it is 6 meters or 30 meters from the river or from the dam. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, Lands, Environment and Natural Resources. Order, Senator Sakaja. If you wanted to help yourself, you would not have presented the statement here. So you have to be helped through the chair. Senator Prangay, 1 week.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, the statement seeks a lot of issues touching with riparian land, housing, and I think, and it's also, we consider that it is also an urgent matter that needs to be addressed. But I don't think for the committee, 1 week will be enough.
How much time do you need?
I think it should give us 3 weeks for that.
Senator Sakaja.
Mr. Speaker, 3 weeks is too long. There are people right now who don't know if they'll have shelter tomorrow.
So
can they kindly expedite and even do a stopgap measure as they look for the holistic response in 3 weeks, that they tell us what they've done between now and next Thursday, Mr. Speaker? Kindly.
Yes, Senator Prangay.
It is too much.
Mr. Speaker, sir, yeah, considering the urgency of the matter, and I think I will consult with the committee. We accompany the senator to the areas that is talked about, probably next week.
And bring a report in 1 week. Interim report in 1 week, final report in 3 weeks.
It's okay, Mr. Speaker, sir.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Senator Sakaja, while you are at it, now as the chair for the Committee on National Cohesion, can you tell Senator Pareno when her statement will be ready?
Mr. Speaker, I was the chair of National Cohesion in the last parliament. I am now the chair of National Security.
National Security,
from
okay.
Cohesion to security.
Chair, National Cohesion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Outa. Yes,
on behalf of my chair, who is not here, we want to assure the senator that this report will be, and she's also a member of the National Cohesion, and so we want to ask for 2 weeks to give the report.
Senator Pareno, is that okay?
That is okay, Speaker. I was going to raise on a point of order to say, Mr. Speaker, that you didn't give a time frame for my
Can the
statement.
Speaker be out of order? Thank goodness you didn't rise like that. Order, senators. That's the end of statements. Order, Senators, we will defer for the time being the orders, the business that is in, that requires division as follows. Order number 8, order number 9, order number 10. Those will be deferred until later in the day. If numbers that are required are achieved, then we can do the division. Now, Senator Mohamud, approach the chair if you're in the chamber. Now, order number 12. The mover is not here. Is there anybody who has instructions from the mover to do what the mover is supposed to do on order number 12? Is there? Senator Malala. Order, Senator Malala. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move a motion on payment of a one-off honorarium.
Order, 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 order. We are not there yet. Actually, the reference was on order number 11, not order number 12. Order number 12, order number 11. Senator Kangata asked anybody? Nobody. So it's, what is it, Senator Sokaja?
Mr. Speaker, I think this is getting out of hand, and I hope that, Mr. Speaker, through your discretion, you can give guidance. Very many members who have matters on the order paper are not showing up. The whips are not able to get us numbers. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue like this, because there are senators who are showing up to do the work that they were elected to do, yet others are keeping us perpetually going around the same issues, week in and week out. Kindly, I ask for direction and guidance from your chair, and that we can actually get clear reprimand to these specific members who have matters on the order paper from last week and are not showing up in the House. It is not fair for those who show up to do business.
Thank you, Senator Sakaja. What is it, Senator Wambua?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the statement, the sentiments by Senator Sakaja, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that some times back, the same trend led to suspension of statements, because there were so many statements on the order paper, and people and chairs of different committees were not showing up to respond to these statements. The Speaker, I do hope that this time round, the direction from the chair will be precise on how we're going to deal with matters like this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
What is it, Senator Outa?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know Senator Irungu would love to be here this afternoon, but I think the House is aware that he got married just last month and he should be extending.
Order, Senator. Order. Order. Marriage is a social issue. It has nothing to do with this House. Order. Order. You don't know which other senator did what. Order, Senator. On Tuesday, I gave very specific directions on the leader of majority, the deputy leader of majority, the majority whip, the deputy minority whip, the leader of minority, the deputy leader of minority, the minority whip, and the deputy minority whip. And I was very clear that those directions are issued to all those jointly and severally, together and individually. And we said that there are many businesses that are appearing in the order paper and they are not being transacted. And that is not good for this country, it's not good for this house. Additionally, this is something that, as mentioned by both Senator Sakaja and Senator Wambua, that has happened repeatedly. Repeatedly. And I think time has come for this House to make very clear and firm directions, as prayed by both Senator Sakaja and Senator Wambua. First and foremost, other than the leaders of the two sides that are represented in this House that I have mentioned, whose work is clearly defined, individual movers of bills and motions have individual responsibility, because you cannot be very good at requesting the chair to have your motion given an appropriate opportunity at the time you would prefer, a time that suits you. But then when it comes to that business being called out or being transacted, you are nowhere to be seen. You have not even communicated to the Speaker your whereabouts. That amounts to dereliction of duty and nothing else. And before I make the direction I'm about to make, I want to read out the provisions of Standing Order 59.3, which says as follows, and I quote, "Where no senator moves a motion at the time specified by or under these standing orders, such motion shall not be published again in the order paper during the same session, except with the leave of the Speaker." Very clear terms, very precise terms. There are certain bills which have been habitually on the order paper since February. Every day and high up in the order paper daily, and the movers are not sure. This must come to an end today and now. I direct as follows, that because I have pronounced myself clearly on this one, from now, the items that appear on the order paper beginning the next sitting, which is on Tuesday, will be subjected strictly and without exception to the provisions of Standing Order 59.3. So ordered. So you cannot just be blaming the whips and the leaders for not whipping people. Why are you being whipped? Were you elected to be whipped? Number two, because really the work of whips and leaders is to put together a political party agenda in the House. But the individual responsibility of senators to this House is individual and direct. Doesn't need to be whipped. And what matters is a senator not appearing in a matter where they are the owners of the business, personal owners, sponsors of the business. And therefore, from Tuesday, you are not here, you have not explained to the Speaker your whereabouts and therefore warned the House that you will not be available. The motion, whether it's about a motion or a bill, will be subjected to 59(3). Very well. What is this, Senator Mtula Kilonzo Jr.?
Mr. Speaker, I also request, if you may, that we put that caveat under Standing Order 53 in the order paper itself, so that at the bottom we'll read any person who does not prosecute their business, that business will be subject to that standing order, so that they are on notice. And rightly so, Mr. Speaker, because we have not been able to carry practical whips. We have been unable to get people into the House, even though we have informed them to prosecute their business, including the divisions that we have postponed twice. Thank you, Speaker.
Very well. Order, Senators. Let us now move to the next order, which is order number 12. Order, Senator Malala, the order has not been called out.
Order number 12, motion, payment of a one-off honorarium and monthly pension to former councillors.
Senator Malala, are you moving on behalf of Senator Maura?
Not Maura. Senator Kinyua.
Senator
Yes.
Kinyua, yes.
Yes.
Has the procedure been followed? Order, Senators, order, resume your seat. Order, Senator. Order, Senators. There are so many senators on their feet. Senator Malala, I want to draw your attention to Standing Order 59(2). It says, save for a special motion, which this is not, a senator who has a motion in his or her name may authorize in writing another senator to move that motion in the senator's stead, or on conclusion of debate and before the question is put, to reply in the senator's stead. Therefore, Senator Malala, I would like to know whether 59(2) has been satisfied with, because I have not seen any written authorization.
Mr. Speaker, I'm alive to the fact that Standing Order 53 applies in this, 59 applies in this case. However, Mr. Speaker, I would like to request you.
How does it apply?
That we need written consent and delegation on this.
You're saying the Standing Order doesn't apply to this motion?
It applies.
It does, okay.
Yes.
Very well.
Yes.
Yes, so
I would like to since this is a weighty matter that affects our leaders, our
Yes,
grassroots
it
leaders.
is very weighty, but
I would
have
like
you been
to
authorized?
I would like to request the chair
Yes,
that you give us 1 hour and
Yes.
defer it
yes,
so that we can get the proper documentation
Yes.
on that.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Even shorter. Even shorter than 1 hour. Very well. Next order.
Order number 13, motion, enforcement of National Transport and Safety Authority, operation of motorcycle regulations 2015.
That's another casualty. That is another culprit. Senator Kasanga is not in the House. However, this motion had been moved, seconded, and debate continues. And the last time this matter was being debated, the Senator Musuruve, Dr. Musuruve had 13 more minutes. And the standing orders provide that if the senator who has the first opportunity to complete a contribution is not present at the time when the agenda is, of the business is called, he or she loses the opportunity to exhaust the remainder of their time. And therefore, this motion is now open for debate generally to those who had not contributed on it. Leader of majority.
Thank you, Mr.
Order,
Speaker.
Senator Murkomen. You are illegally transacting, you're trying to establish how much time you have.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you have 20 minutes maximum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to stand here to say I totally and fully support this motion. This is a very, 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 very important motion. In fact, Mr. Speaker, this is a subject, regulation of the motorcycle sector, what we popularly call in Kenya border sector, is, Mr. Speaker, a situation that, or an area that, Mr. Speaker, requires urgent and, Mr. Speaker, serious interrogation. Mr. Speaker, the use of border or motorcycle as a means of transport is so popular in this country, and it's such a good thing because, Mr. Speaker, it has opened opportunities for a means of transport that is accessible to villages, Mr. Speaker, and that is fast. In fact, Mr. Speaker, that is also good and applied in the cities to beat traffic jam. Mr. Speaker, this means of transport is also affordable, fast, Mr. Speaker, and also has become a means of, Mr. Speaker, earning a living for so many young people in this great republic. Mr. Speaker, having said that, it is one sector that is, Mr. Speaker, unregulated and properly regulated. Mr. Speaker, it's a sector that is full of chaos. It is the cause of the worst traffic accidents in this great republic, Mr. Speaker. In fact, I do not know any public hospital of level 5 and above that doesn't have a designated ward, Mr. Speaker, that is called border ward. Because you will find so many border, Mr. Speaker, riders. In fact, you can call that drivers, but let's just say riders for this purpose. Mr. Speaker, I've been, I've suffered the worst accidents you can ever imagine. And the reason why border is causing worst accidents in the country is because, Mr. Speaker, it's accessible to the rural areas. And now accidents have been, usually, when you talk about accident, you talk about highways and roads and so forth. You find cases of accidents, Mr. Speaker, to very, small village. You find someone here broke an arm, Mr. Speaker, somebody here broke his leg, somebody, Mr. Speaker, has head injuries, somewhere in the village. Even to transport them to hospital is a problem because it can only be through border, but because of the nature of the accident and the injuries they have undergone, Mr. Speaker, it becomes difficult to get them from the village to the town. And why am I saying, Mr. Speaker, this has become a catastrophe? It's because, first of all, the riders are not trained in anything. They are not trained in anything. Mr. Speaker, somebody buys a motorcycle this morning, and I have come to discover, I used to think that it's the young people who own the motorcycles. But I've realized, no, they are just, Mr. Speaker, workers working for rich people. So they are actually in a squad, what they call a squad. Mr. Speaker, you buy somebody, a rich person somewhere, a teacher, a policeman, Mr. Speaker, a trader, businessman, buys a motorcycle, gets a young person, takes him to train somewhere in a maize field or sometimes in a wheat farm. Then they push 1, 2, 3, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow, the next day, that person is on the road and is carrying passengers, Mr. Speaker, carrying other human beings. The accidents we have witnessed that are related to motorcycles, Mr. Speaker, are so dangerous, most times fatal, Mr. Speaker, costly. If you come around, like for us who come from North Rift, if you go to all the hospitals that are within Eldoret, the MTRH, if you go to the private hospitals, you will get so many people who are being treated for serious head injuries as a result of those accidents, Mr. Speaker. Somebody just gets to the road, he has no driving license, he has no, Mr. Speaker, experience, he has no knowledge, he has no helmet, he is carrying. Sometimes when you watch, Mr. Speaker, Senator Wamatangi, we were having a conversation with him the other day, and I think it was part of his contribution on the floor. That, Mr. Speaker, you get a border person is carrying a man with 5 children, and is on a highway. Mr. Speaker, it is terrible. I don't know, there is no one in this house who has never seen a dangerous scene of a border rider carrying human beings like luggage, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I keep wondering, like I said the other day in relation to the accident in Kericho, who would really trust his children? Sometimes you see a mother and 3 or 4 children, they're sitting in a border, Mr. Speaker. The guy is drunk, he's driving fast, and that's a whole family. And it is. So, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the problems when we say we need to regulate this sector. We need to think, because they are not only accessible to many people, they are putting more Kenyans and citizens of this republic under risk. And, Mr. Speaker, the medical cost related to accidents that come from motorcycle riders, Mr. Speaker, in this country are so high that I am sure even yourself and any leader who is here has been called to so many Harambes to try to fundraise to get medical treatment, Mr. Speaker, for persons who have been involved in accidents. The other thing is the insurance. Mr. Speaker, you will find most of these motorbikes, they are supposed to carry 1 person to start with. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know if they don't even have a license. There is no specific license. Somebody buys a motorcycle knowing or pretending to be buying for himself, but he knows he's buying a PSV motorcycle. But there is no licensing and registration place for PSV motorcycles. And you will find that those motorcycles do not have any licenses. They have no, Mr. Speaker, insurance cover. And so you find people, even third-party police, nothing. They're just people are riding around with that motorcycles. The other thing, Mr. Speaker, you'll find that most of the riders are drunkards. The Speaker, drink changai in the village, rush to go and pick somebody somewhere. Those people don't know even what's keep left. They don't even know what's a corner. The Speaker, you will find a motorcycle rider just standing in a corner, Mr. Speaker, 100 kilometers per hour. meeting with a vehicle on the road, doesn't know even this is a corner, doesn't know even how to slow. Even if you put bumps, Mr. Speaker, you see they're flying. And Mr. Speaker, have you realized that also the motorcycle or border carriers, Mr. Speaker, is the most humiliating, especially when it comes to women. Mr. Speaker, you see somebody's wife is holding another man very tightly, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, yeah. Mr. Speaker, it is so humiliating, Mr. Speaker, and embarrassing. It's extremely embarrassing. And Mr. Speaker, you know, and the guy who is sitting ahead is just saying, hold it tighter, Mr. Speaker. This is one, if there is a means of transport, Mr. Speaker, if this nation, Mr. Speaker, can ever debate and discuss about sexual harassment, Mr. Speaker, a lot of it is happening and border riders, Mr. Speaker, and border, Mr. Speaker, means of transport. It is embarrassing, both in terms of how you sit and, Mr. Speaker, how you sit with another man. It is embarrassing. Or, Mr. Speaker, you will find, because there are 2 or 3 passengers, the man ahead there, Mr. Speaker, there is a man in front, there is a woman in between, and there is another man behind, Mr. Speaker. And they are holding each other tight, Mr. Speaker. It's so embarrassing. It's just, sometimes I look at it, and Mr. Speaker, I hope you heard what I've said, Mr. Speaker. It is the most embarrassing way of transport.
What did you say, Leader of Majority?
Mr. Speaker, I just want to repeat for your knowledge, for your attention, Mr. Speaker, that one of the most embarrassing moments I've ever seen, and Mr. Speaker, which I don't know how it will escape the definition of sexual harassment, is to see a border rider, Mr. Speaker, a huge guy seated in front, somebody's wife is in between, and another huge guy is seated behind, Mr. Speaker. And all of them are holding tight in terms of trying to protect themselves from accident or falling or so forth, Mr. Speaker. It's extremely embarrassing. It's extremely embarrassing, Mr. Speaker.
So
and I think...
Is it embarrassing because the 2 guys are huge? or what is it? What is it, Senator Sakaja?
Mr. Speaker, beyond the question I'm hearing on who is complaining, does the Leader of Majority have something against huge guys? Because is it better if the guys were small? Surely. I know I'm not as huge as I was, but surely I can still speak on behalf of them together with Malala.
Actually, Senator Sakaja's concern is linked to what the chair asked. So where is the problem? The guys are huge?
Mr. Speaker, I want to dare any senator here who does not think that there is any problem, Mr. Speaker, male senators, to volunteer their wives to be sandwiched, Mr. Speaker, in a motorcycle rider,
yes.
In a motorcycle, Mr. Speaker, between 2 men.
Huge
holding
men.
Tightly.
Huge men.
Yeah, whether they are huge or... when they are small, Mr. Speaker, they're even better. When it's huge, it's worse. Because...
so proceed, Majority Leader.
But, Mr. Speaker, the question also is how huge is huge. Because, Mr. Speaker, sometimes you think somebody is huge, but relatively because of that environment,
yes,
a huge person in Northeastern, Mr. Speaker, might be your size.
Yes.
And, Mr. Speaker, in Kakamega, Mr. Speaker...
Give another example, Senator Murkomen. Leave the chair from the debate on size.
Yes.
Until yes. What is it, Senator, for Wajir? Senator Ali.
Mr. Speaker, sir, is he bigger than me?
Order. Senator Murkomen, you are trending on sensitive ground.
Mr. Speaker, people of Northeastern and generally pastoralists are the fittest people you can ever get, Mr. Speaker, in terms of their body size. They take care of themselves. They exercise a lot. They eat well. Mr. Speaker, you will never get obese people from generally places like Northeastern or West Pokot or, Mr. Speaker, places like Narok or Elgeyo Marakwet, most parts of Elgeyo. In fact, you've gone to Elgeyo Marakwet. Those hills of Elgeyo Marakwet cannot permit you to be the size of Malala, Mr. Speaker. Or, Mr. Speaker.
You are causing more trouble.
Or even if you are in Tharaka Nithi, Mr. Speaker. If you come from
What
Tharaka,
is it, Senator Malala?
Mr. Speaker, I think the Leader of Majority is out of order.
to quote me on matters hugeness. And I will want to ask him what kind of hugeness are you referring to? And which part of the body are you referring to?
Order.
As pertains to hugeness?
Order,
Because,
Senator
Mr. Speaker,
Malala.
I might.
Order. Yes, finish.
Mr. Speaker, it is in bad light to refer to me as huge, because I believe I am a sizable human being, Mr. Speaker, and this is how lawyers are, Mr. Speaker. I know the where Murkomen comes, he's the hugest where he comes, and therefore he's feeling inferior to me. But next time, Mr. Murkomen, Honorable Murkomen, kindly do not refer to a lawyer man as huge. This is our physical attribute, and we are proud of it, and do not demean the hugeness of a lawyer man. Thank you.
You know,
Ona boda boda.
Senator, Majority Leader, before you respond,
Yeah.
you know, you could have said the same things differently.
Yes, yes,
You started attracting trouble when you started giving names.
yes,
You started by exemplifying with the chair.
yeah.
The chair advised you to keep off. You went to Northeastern and attracted the arc of Senator Ali, and now you are in Western Kenya. And at this rate,
Yeah.
by the time you finish with the country,
Yeah.
you will have caught a lot of trouble. So rephrase.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to say that, Mr. Speaker, relatively, Senator Malala, relative to Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., Mr. Speaker, and I'm not saying because of the areas they come from, Senator Malala has an expansive body size, Mr. Speaker. That's all what I said. And I was trying to say that, Mr. Speaker, no, in real sense, I mean, let's not lose the point. The point I was trying to make is that, Mr. Speaker, I have a problem with the dignity of both men and women that is exhibited, Mr. Speaker. Can you imagine, in Marakwet culture, you cannot sit the way people sit in border, Mr. Speaker, with your mother-in-law, or a lady with a father-in-law. Mr. Speaker, it's very undignified, Mr. Speaker, but sometimes out of survival, you will find that people are sitting in a very undignified manner. And Mr. Speaker, you find cases that as a result of the manner in which people are sitting, Mr. Speaker, I don't know, there is no empirical evidence, but young girls are sexually assaulted thereafter, Mr. Speaker, and even cases of pregnancies and so forth, Mr. Speaker, increase. I can't explain exactly what happens between the riding, Mr. Speaker, and the molestation, and Mr. Speaker, ultimately where our young girls are violated. And Mr. Speaker, haven't you seen that in situations in all over the country, most cases in the country, young girls, Mr. Speaker, especially when school is closed, fall prey to so many of border riders, and I don't know why. Is it because they have wealth in the locality, or because of this means of transport is exciting, Mr. Speaker, or I don't know what is the reason. But I'm trying to say this is a sector that we must, in fact, we need to get the statistics, and I wish I had from NTSA, as to how many traffic accidents, and Mr. Speaker, what could be called road accidents, because some of them is not even road accidents, path accidents, Mr. Speaker, because it's being ridden, Mr. Speaker, along a path in the village. And Mr. Speaker, with that statistics, we must, Mr. Speaker, create a special, Mr. Speaker, section of the National Transport and NTSA, Mr. Speaker, Authority, in terms of monitoring and licensing and, Mr. Speaker, oversighting all border businesses. Mr. Speaker, when I say this, not because we're disrespectful to border people, but Mr. Speaker, the reality speaks for itself. I am one person who has, in my county, created a circle for them, supported them financially, Mr. Speaker, calling friends for a fundraiser to improve their circle. But, Mr. Speaker, discipline must be enhanced in this sector. We must ensure that we have discipline in this sector. We must protect members of the public. And when we talk about members of the public, it includes the riders themselves, because as I told you, most of them do not own the motorcycles, Mr. Speaker. They are only rented to perform the task of riding and carrying passengers, Mr. Speaker, without any PSV license, without any regulations that is taking place. And I have one suggestion, Mr. Speaker. and a suggestion that I think I referred to in our last discussion on traffic problems that we have in this country. We need to change the manner in which insurance is given. Insurance today is, when you get an insurance for your car, it's an insurance for your car, KBY or whatever number, then that's the insurance. But in most countries abroad, insurance is given to the individual driver. So if you go with a particular car, you are asked, who is going to be driving this car? You say, Mr. X. Mr. Speaker, that Mr. X or Miss X or Miss X is given the insurance. That insurance is based on your experience. In Italy, for example, if you have been riding, if it's your first time, you pay the highest premium. If you have reached 15 years without incidences, you pay the least. So you have, in a particular car, you can pay 200,000 if it's your first time. But if for 15 years you've been driving without incidences, you can even pay 20,000. In a same car, but the difference is that your experience in terms of use of your insurance license, Mr. Speaker, has meant something insofar as your driving experience is concerned. And if we do so, then it will mean that, Mr. Speaker, every individual will take care of the vehicle or the motorcycle you are given. And it is because when you are riding that motorcycle, it's linked to your, Mr. Speaker, your insurance. And if it's linked to that insurance, then you will see that if you arrest someone once and they are looking for insurance again to become a driver or a rider, Mr. Speaker, because the cost will double, then they will be more careful. And I think, Mr. Speaker, these are some of the regulations that I think must be put in place to protect this sector.
Conclude, 1
Mr.
minute.
Speaker, I want to conclude, and I want to say that this motion is timely. I hope the relevant Committee of Transport will, Mr. Speaker, take up from here and sit with the stakeholders in the sector to ensure that proper legal, not just regulation, but legal framework for regulating, Mr. Speaker, this sector are put in place. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you, Leader of Majority. You've tried, notwithstanding that the temptation to to get into trouble is so high. Order Senators, next is Senator Wambua. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also stand to support this motion by Senator Sylvia Kasanga. And I would want to begin by saying, Mr. Speaker, that when probably all other sectors of our economy are struggling to remain afloat, this is perhaps one sector that is really, really growing. It's actually perhaps one of the fastest growing sectors of our economy. The Speaker, looking at the border industry, it would be easy to conclude that perhaps as the government pursues the Big Four agenda, in manufacturing especially, this is an opportunity where manufacturers can invest in and do pretty well because of the demand for motorcycles in this country. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, there will be need for proper training of the border riders, proper procedures for licensing, and proper procedures for issuance of insurance covers. Because today, as things stand, a young man would acquire a motorcycle today, and in the evening, they are already in business, transporting people, transporting goods. And Mr. Speaker, in these regulations, it will also be important to even specify, really, if a motorcycle has been acquired as a means of public transport, what is it licensed to carry? and how much of it is it licensed to carry. Apart from ferrying passengers, Mr. Speaker, it is not uncommon to come across motorcycles, the so-called border borders, transporting all manner of things, including goats, cows, sofa sets. There is need for proper regulation as to what these cycles are supposed to carry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would also want to say that because of the absolute lack of regulation in this sector, corrupt police officers manning roadblocks or managing traffic on our roads are also having a field day, extorting bribes from border riders because they are not licensed to operate. So it will be important, Mr. Speaker, for NTSA to look into the whole issue of proper licensing so that we also tame the appetite for extortion of bribes by corrupt police officers. The Speaker, in the same light, just as we have established savings and credit cooperative societies for matatus, the same should also apply for border borders, for ease of identification and for ease of management. The Speaker, I have listened to what the majority leader said about the dignity of passengers, and especially ladies being using border borders. We have also borne witness, Mr. Speaker, to situations where ladies, in pursuit of their own dignity while traveling on border borders, are forced to sit sideways, which is really a very dangerous position on a moving object. Mr. Speaker, I do support the motion by Senator Sylvia Kasanga and say, really this motion is long overdue. I wish NTSA would move very fast to come up with proper regulation of this sector in our transport sector. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Milgo, Dr. Milgo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this motion from Senator Sylvia Kasanga and say this is indeed a very timely motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to say that the issues of motorcycle, particularly in Kenya, is a very important business, and more particularly in terms of transportation. Mr. Speaker, sir, many areas in the rural do not have good roads, and normally these motorcycles can go deep into even areas that cars would not be able to get. You will realize, Mr. Speaker, sir, that even in rainy season, motorcycles would come very much in handy to ferry passengers. In addition to ferrying passengers, Mr. Speaker, we have these motorcycles even ferrying goods to the market, Mr. Speaker, sir. However, the challenge here has been the fact that there has been no clear regulation to ascertain and ensure that this business is conducted in a very serious manner. Why? Because this is one of the businesses that has added a lot of money, or in this case, have improved the economy in our country, Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, many a times you do realize that even the passengers that are being carried in these particular motorcycles are so many, to the fact that many accidents that we receive every time in Kenya or even the number that is going up every day, if we would be able to have a critical look at it, we do realize that many of them are coming from border, or rather motorcycles. Mr. Speaker, sir, many of these accidents that occur has also created problems in the hospitals, which is already a social problem, Madam Speaker, that it has caused not even one hospital in this country, but wherever we go, you'd find that all hospitals have got a section where motorcycle-related accidents are being treated, Madam Speaker. I even realized recently we went to Kisii and visited the hospital there, the Kisii Hospital, and then realized that there is a very large room that has been set aside for motorcycle-related accidents, and that means it has already taken away rooms from the hospital that would have been used otherwise to treat other patients. In addition to that one, it is even requiring more health staff, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, motorcycles again have gone a long way to cause many other challenges apart from just causing accidents. We do realize, Madam Speaker, that this motorcycle business is so lucrative to the extent that we have a lot of school dropouts that normally get out of school to get motorcycles to make quick money, Madam Speaker. And without any regulation, to be able to cap the type of people to acquire, or in this case, to ride the motorcycles, what happens is that we shall lose our youths who would have otherwise continued in school to go to border business, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this youth also would normally get out, and before they have even taken time to train themselves, what happens is that they immediately start riding the motorcycles, and that is the cause of these the accidents that we are realizing. Madam Speaker, there is also another social issue that has come as a result of motorcycle business. More especially, I think a few minutes ago, the majority leader was speaking about women that are normally squeezed in motorcycles. But I used to say motorcycle business riders normally have been preying on school-going children by giving them free rides and giving them very little money to buy mandazis. And therefore, while the youth in terms of boys are dropping out to go and ride porters, the girls are also dropping out because of unwanted pregnancies that have been realized, or in this case that have been gotten out of this porter business. Madam Speaker, I wish in the regulation that we will be able to actually state the age that we expect somebody who is riding the motorcycle to have, Madam Speaker, and in addition to that, to really have conduct a very serious interview so that we have those that are riding motorcycles being people that are really trained, that is proper training, that have gone to proper training, that have got the right insurance, and in any case, there are people that will be able to approach this kind of business with a lot of sobriety. Madam Speaker, it is not uncommon to be able to find that this business of motorcycles have even brought about issues of even killing. I have a case in my county where these youths that have dropped out of school, Madam Speaker, have even caused another challenge in their families by, in this case, requesting for a piece of land to be sold for them so that they can purchase a motorcycle. And therefore, when the parents have not been willing, they have been killed by being cut into pieces, Madam Speaker. Therefore, when it comes to regulation, I really support this. And in this regulation, I'm saying there should be people who are going to ride porta should be people with proper license, properly insured motorcycles, and in any case, more than ever before, we really have a caveat on the age that are going to ride these porters to be able to ensure that we retain school-going children. With that, Madam Speaker, I do support this motion and wish it would even be turned into appeal so that we have this regulation come into effect as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia mswada wa kuimarishwa kwa sheria zinazoangalia masuala ya bodaboda. Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa bodaboda zimeweza kurahisisha usafiri katika maeneo mengi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, kuna athari nyingi ambazo zimekuja na biashara hii ya bodaboda. Kwa mfano, wengi wanaoendesha bodaboda zile hawana vibali rasmi vya serikali vya kuwaruhusu kuendesha bodaboda. Wengi wanaendesha bodaboda zile bila ya kwenda katika shule yoyote ya kujifundisha kuendesha gari ama kuendesha bodaboda katika nchi ya Kenya. Wengi wanaendesha bodaboda zile bila ya vikinga kama vile kofia na reflector ambayo inaonyesha kwamba wao ni waendeshaji wa bodaboda. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kweli kwamba katika hospitali nyingi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya kuna wodi maalumu za kutibu wagonjwa wa bodaboda, na wengi wa wagonjwa hao wamevunjika mikono, wamevunjika miguu, wengine wameumia kichwa. Kwa hivyo ni athari ambazo zinaathiri sana uchumi wa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, mbali na hivyo, bodaboda pia sasa ni sheria wanatumia mikononi mwao. Juzi, wiki mbili zilizokwisha, waliua kijana university katika eneo la Bamburi, Mombasa. Kijana yule alikuwa amekwenda na bodaboda, bahati mbaya akachukua bodaboda ambayo sio yake. Kwa hivyo wale waendeshaji wa bodaboda wengine waliposikia ni mwizi, wakaenda wakampiga na wakamuua kijana ambaye angekuwa anahitimu masomo yake ya Nairobi University Disemba mwaka huu. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, bodaboda ni sheria mikononi mwao. Ukipatikana na bodaboda mahali popote umekosea, hata kama wao ndio wenye makosa kwenye barabara, ukumbuke kwamba maisha yako yako hatarini na unaweza kupata maafa kutokana na tabia zao ambazo hazifuatani na sheria. Mheshimiwa Spika, bodaboda vile vile imekuwa tishio kwa wasichana wetu. Sehemu nyingi za mashambani ambapo na hata mijini ambapo wasichana wanapata shida labda ya usafiri kwenda shule ama kutoka sehemu moja kwenda sehemu nyingine, wanapambana na bodaboda ambao wanawapa lifti ya bure, na wakitoka hapo inakuwa ni matatizo kwa msichana, ni matatizo kwa familia. Wengi wamekimbiza watoto kutoka shule kiasi ambacho wasichana wetu sasa wako na athari kubwa ya kupata maradhi ya ukimwi na maradhi mengine ya zinaa kutokana na ngono zisizo tabirika kwa sababu ya bodaboda. Mheshimiwa Spika, bodaboda pia zimekuwa visa vya utovu wa nidhamu kwa wanafunzi, kwa sababu wanafunzi wengi akipewa bodaboda akiwa anaweza kuendesha, basi tayari anaacha masomo yake shule na anafuata biashara ya bodaboda wakati hana chochote cha kuweza kumsongeza mbele. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, nasema kwamba ni wakati mwafaka sasa kuhakikisha kwamba National Transport Association, National Transport Authority wametoa sheria mwafaka za kuhakikisha kwamba bodaboda zinafuata sheria. Mheshimiwa Spika, tulikuwa Rwanda majuzi ambapo bodaboda kule zina sheria maalumu. Na utapata kila mwendeshaji bodaboda ana kofia na ana reflector mgongoni kuhakikisha kwamba anafuata sheria. Na hata abiria anayebebwa na bodaboda ana kofia na reflector kuonesha kwamba yuko katika njia ya usalama. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni wakati mwafaka kuhakikisha kwamba biashara ya bodaboda imedhibitiwa na kuna sheria kali ambazo zinapitishwa kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wanapata usalama, waendeshaji bodaboda wanapata usalama, na pia abiria wanaobebwa na bodaboda hizi wanapata usalama. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you. Senator Masitsa Naomi Shionga.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on this motion on enforcement of National Transport and Safety Authority. Madam Speaker, discipline in this particular field of boda riders has really failed. Through NTSA and circles that we are forming, it is the right time, and this motion has come in the right time for us to reinforce and to enforce discipline that has been forfeit by these border riders. Madam Speaker, of late, smugglers, thieves, and murderers have been using or taking advantages of these borders to do unworthy practices on our roads. And some of the issues that most of our motorcycles are doing or are getting involved in, it is actually indiscipline. As much as we appreciate this particular people in our society, and as much as these people in our society, they are the easiest business that we are, it is the easiest business that we are having, the cheapest and locally available. It is contrary to what we expect in the community of nowadays. Madam Speaker, if you look at our hospitals, nowadays we have set aside, most of the hospitals have set aside wards just for border accidents, which is not necessary. It is actually unnecessary for us to have wards of accommodating border accidents. And it is the highest time quality and discipline needs to be enforced in this particular arena. Madam Speaker, if you look at most of the border, as my colleagues are saying, they have no licenses. They have no insurance. If the insurance is there, then that insurance is questionable. They do not have proper training. They do not have proper or even no training at all. But the traitors, the rich in the society are taking advantages of our people. They are taking advantages of our children, young ones who are not even supposed to be on the roads, driving or riding these motorbikes, just in the case of making a living. It is the highest time that the enforcement in this circle, the circles or in this National Transport and Safety Authority, the NTSA, needs to work around the clock on its framework so that the border riders get quality training, get quality license, get quality PSV insurance, insurance so that lives are saved and not many lives are lost. Madam Speaker, if you look at most of the families in our rural villages, even in our urban areas, they are opting to go for the border riders to take their children to school because, one, it is the fastest and it is the cheapest. But the problems that come with it, the consequences that come with this, especially where a family entrusts a border rider with his or 3 children, when it gets an accident, then you are assured of a family being wiped out. Yesterday we had, Madam Speaker, a burial service in our county where we lost so many people, and it was a very solemn mass that we were having. And if we entrust the border with our families, especially school-going children, without proper training and the quality services that I've said, then it's going to be cumbersome, it is going to bring accidents, it is going to give us more of unnecessary accidents that we do not wish to have. Madam Speaker, framework is very important, and I appreciate very much for the NTSA to put across strict measures that are quality and necessary checkups and evaluation of this transport, especially in this field of border, so that we can save life, we can save accidents, and we can save unnecessary acts that come with these border riders. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I stand to support the motion.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ali Abdullah Ibrahim.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Because of a lot of pressure from some senators here, I'll be very brief. I wish to support this motion of Honorable Kasanga. This is a very important motion, and as everybody here has stressed, the issue of border all over the country is very important, but also very dangerous. In where I come from, they travel for over 40, 50 miles a day. They'll go and look after animals and want to be in town to go and look for miraa and come back in the evening. So what happens is that all of them get accidents on the way. And several of them have broken limbs and they suffer a lot. So and the reason is, as was mentioned earlier, that they have no licenses, they don't know anything about driving or riding, they don't have proper training, and unless NTSA comes up with new policies and new issues, or the regulations are implemented, then this country is going to have a lot of broken limbs and a lot of brain injuries all over, everywhere in this country. Madam Speaker, I want to support this motion seriously, and will wish to urge the mover to make sure that she brings a bill very soon, and we are ready to support and help her process this issue. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wako Setswela Amos.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'll be very brief. I totally support this motion. Although I must say, I would have preferred if the motion was addressed to a committee of the Senate to look into this issue and report within 90 days. I very much doubt that the ministry will be able to look into this issue very comprehensively as this motion requires and report to us within 90 days. But we trust ourselves, and therefore our committee would have, I think, done a better job and even come up with the draft regulations to regulate the operation of motorcycles. Number two, let us not underestimate the border people. I've been very much closely associated with them, and I know that most of them are doing that simply to get some money as a temporary measure before they join the university. And therefore, they provide a very useful contribution, not only to our economy, but to deal with one of the major problems facing this country, which is acute unemployment in this country. So they are feeling that important thing. And therefore, it becomes important that the government also gives them the attention that it requires, that the government trains them, that the government not only trains them, but arranges for the insurance. The government has been very good in arranging insurance for other people. They should be able to arrange insurance for motorcycles, for these border people. Many of the Harambes, many senators will know that we have at home are people who have either died or have been injured as a result of accidents involving border. And some of those accidents are not on the main roads, they are on the rural roads. And therefore, Madam Speaker, a creation of a fund to be able to assist such people will be very much in need. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I know that members want to debate another motion. I had a lot to say on this, but I will stop there. I promise I'll only take 1 minute. And I'm glad that they allowed me to speak for 1 minute so that we can go to another business of the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to support this particular motion. I want to say border business, Madam Speaker, has really supported our youths in various ways, particularly giving them self-employment. Some also, this means of transport also is one of the quickest in rural areas. despite there are a lot of disadvantages that we have from this particular means of transport, Madam Speaker, I think to shorten, we need to come up with policy frameworks that will be able to regulate this particular business so that it may be orderly. I want to say, unless we regulate this particular business, Madam Speaker, it has become one of the most critical areas when it comes to, okay, I can see Senator here. I want to say that because of other motions that are coming up and we would like also to support, I want to say I support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can see there is no further request, so I will have the mover to reply. Mover.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I reply, I would like to thank the senators who've contributed. I remember the day when I was moving this motion, we were in the middle of something very heated. It was the day we were tabling the report for the Solai Dam. So it was done in a manner which I don't know if the senators really had some of the statistics I presented. But nonetheless, I appreciate, because the issue of border borders is known to all of us, and it's a fairly straightforward motion, this one, that the regulations are there, but their implementation needs to be fast-tracked. And beyond that is the need for strategies on how to implement those regulations, which are very, very necessary. The statistics show that at least 4.8 million Kenyans depend on border borders one way or another. And that tells you that the growth path on the numbers that are coming in the country are quite large. And therefore the need for this motion that NTSA and the ministry need to get together with the county governments to see how best then they can help these border borders. The issues that have been raised by all the senators are so pertinent. In fact, some of them I hadn't even thought about them, especially the issues of women and their privacy, the issues of young girls being sexually harassed, the issue of the youth now using the border borders away from school and to do all sorts of manner of things away from what they're supposed to be doing. And of course, the issue that border borders are being used to perpetrate crime. And that is something most of us have experienced one way or another. But most of it, of course, is because of our lives. We are losing a lot of lives because of the lack of order and lack of regulation, and this needs to really be checked into. Madam Speaker, I appreciate and I request that the senators can vote for this. I also take note for the call for a bill, and I'll look into it. If there is space for that and room for that, I will work towards it. And I also appreciate Senator Wako having said that we should have actually, pointed this to the committee to work on it, but we pointed it to the ministry because the regulations are actually there, and what is lacking is how to implement the regulations. So I pray that the senators can vote for this motion, and I appreciate all the contributions that came. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, I would like to draw your attention to Standing Order 79 on voting on a matter other than a bill, and would like to confirm that this motion does not affect counties, and for that reason, everybody will vote by acclamation. May I therefore put the question that aware that the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, is mandated to plan, manage, and regulate the road transport system while ensuring the provision of safe, reliable, and efficient road transport services. Further aware that motorcycle transport services have been rapidly embraced throughout the country, leading to several challenges, including rise in road accidents involving motorcycle riders, unlawfulness, insecurity, and road congestion. Cognizant that the National Transport and Safety Authority operation of motorcycles regulations that came into force on January 1st, 2016, have not adequately addressed the challenges associated with a high number of motorcycles as a mode of transport. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves that the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, and Urban Development, 1, identify strategies to enforce the National Transport and Safety Authority operation of motorcycles regulation. 2, in collaboration with the county governments, develop programs to sensitize and educate members of border associations and the public on the laws regulating motorcycle operations. 3, submit a report to the Senate within 90 days outlining the short and long-term strategies and preventative measures that are being put in place to halt the rising cases of road carnage involving motorcycle riders. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable Senators, there are two orders that were stood down for a short time, Order 11 and Order 12. I would now like to ask the clerks to take us back.
Order number 11, the County Wards Development Equalization Fund Bill, Senate Bill number 5 of 2018, second reading.
Senator Kangata Irungu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we have had various discussions in the committee of the Finance that is led by my friend, Chairman Engineer. And in that committee, we called various stakeholders, Madam Speaker, and we did have a discussion with control of budgets. That is number one. We also had discussion with the Commission for Revenue Allocation. We also had discussion with various senators. You recall we had an informal Kamukunji that was held up there in Crown Plaza Hotel in Upper Hill. And after all those discussions, Madam Speaker, we agreed that we come up with some amendments. Those amendments were crafted by a certain committee of experts. Once that was done, Madam Speaker, a report was prepared. It was brought before the Committee of Finance. And Madam Speaker, I have no problem with those amendments, proposed amendments. However, they were so substantive that according to the standing orders, and therefore it was resolved that there is the need for withdrawal of this bill and for a republication. Maybe the only thing I would urge before I do a formal withdrawal of the bill is the chair to rise and confirm once I withdraw what timelines maybe shall we have for republication. Otherwise, once that is done, I will come and stand and formally withdraw. But I would want that clarification so that it is clearly captured in Hansard that this bill is not being withdrawn forever. It is not going to die, no. It is a bill that is going to be brought back again. It is a bill that wants to effect Article 176 of the Constitution. So, Chair, please.
What is your intervention, Senator Malala?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think this bill is a very important bill. And I'm surprised that
What was out of order?
I think the issue of withdrawal of the bill, Madam Speaker.
No, we have not finished.
We need to interrogate it because, Madam Speaker, the issue of...
Senator Malala, you are out of order. You stood on a point of order.
That's why I'm...
And when you stand on a point of order, tell us what is not in order because withdrawal process has not even been completed. I wish you waited for the withdrawal
Madam
to be...
Speaker, the intent of withdrawing is what is disturbing me, Madam Speaker.
Senator Malala, are you believing that your intervention will change his mind?
Yes. Because, Madam Speaker...
Is it information you want to give?
I want to get information, clear information.
If you are getting information, that is different from giving him information to convince him. But procedurally,
I think you'd have allowed
unless
me.
you want to give him information that's going to help him,
Yes.
in which case he has to decide whether he wants your information or not.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I think it. Madam Speaker, I want to understand, because I've been part of this bill, and I want to understand as to why this bill is being withdrawn. Madam Speaker, the provisions of amending a bill are provided in the standing order.
You have asked, you have made your point. If your question is why it is being withdrawn, he will take note of that and he will come back and answer that one. Any other?
So is it being withdrawn or not? We will want to know that before we move on, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Senator Malala, you know you stopped him before he withdrew. We thought there was something out of order before the formal withdrawal is done. Senator, I see some intervention from Senator Mohammed Malik.
Madam Speaker, we are in agreement with the sponsor of the motion. This bill was referred to this committee, and we subjected it to a lot of public participation from the counties, from the Council of Governors, from the Control of Budget, the CRA, the Treasury, everybody else. And thereafter, we went through the bill, and in fact, we invited the whole Senate for a breakfast meeting where everybody was there. Those who were there were there. And the bill, in its sense, is a very good bill, but it required a lot of intervention and changes. And we, in our committee, we looked at the bill and agreed with the sponsor. And I want the sponsor to listen and Malala to listen. Madam Speaker. Yes. Madam
We don't
Speaker,
have a standing area. Please, can you resume
Yes.
your seat?
Madam Speaker, this bill, after subjecting to a lot of discussion from the whole Senate and also the other stakeholders and also with the sponsor, it was agreed that the bill in its form cannot proceed. We subjected it to a lot of scrutiny and have agreed with the sponsor that the bill should provide a national framework for ward-based equitable projects. But the amendments that this committee looked at were so substantive that they changed the nature of the bill. It was therefore agreed in the committee that this bill be republished, and we discussed with the sponsor that the bill be republished by the committee and reintroduced in the Senate pursuant to Standing Order 127.7 of the Senate Standing Orders. So the bill will not be lost, the substance of the bill will not be lost, but the character and the style of management now actually is going to be equitable ward-based projects, but not in the initial way it was seen. But I assure the House that this bill is very good and a bill will be introduced, and that's why they sense, with the agreement of the sponsor, the bill is withdrawn. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I hope that rests the case for Senator Malala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think it does not convince me, because, Madam Speaker, if the changes are too many to change the gist of the bill, they should come up with another bill. But this particular bill was addressing the issue of devolving funds from county level to ward level. What the chairman is trying to insinuate is that we are going to look at a fund that is going to distribute even national resources down to the wards. So, Madam Speaker, I think what we need to do is we should give a chance to this bill to go through the second reading. Let us do the amendments during the committee of the whole House. But withdrawing it will be doing injustice to the members of county assemblies down there, Madam Speaker.
Move of the motion?
Yes, maybe what we can do so that we move forward is just to ask either the chairman or maybe the staff, they tell us timelines. So that once we withdraw, we know within what timelines should we have that publication. That way, I think everyone will have gone together.
That's fair. Chairman of the committee, what timelines are you looking at?
Madam Speaker, we are ready with the bill in the amendment form, and in fact, once the green light is given, we can publish it from next week.
So that is a week or two. Let's give you 2 weeks so that we are very safe. Are we okay with that? Yes, thank you. Can we have the mover, therefore, to make his final statement? Senator Malala, I wanted to request you that in the time when the committee is going to sit, be a friend of the committee. Because if you're a friend of the committee, you'll have a better opportunity to express what you're expressing now.
Yeah, I'm now getting sense out of it. Huh? But then I would wish we defer the withdrawal until in a week or 2 weeks' time so that we can start. Please.
Well, they cannot be working on a document that has not been withdrawn. The bill is already in a stage that is ready for. It has already been published.
I understand, but we've been part of this bill, Madam Speaker, and we've not been consulted. That's why I'm aggrieved. How I wish we were consulted.
Honorable Senator Malala, now you are even overstepping your mandate because you are a member of the House Business Committee. When it went to the House Business Committee, unless you are absent, this was discussed, and the procedure that the mover is following is a recommendation that he has also accepted. So yes, it came before your the House Business Committee, and you are our representative there, Senator Malala. Okay, mover.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, on the understanding that the bill will be published within 2 weeks from today, and also on the understanding that the chair has already expressed himself on the Hansard, giving that pledge, and also Madam Speaker, you have also made a ruling that the publication should take within 2 weeks from today. I hereby withdraw the bill on those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 12, motion, payment of a one-off honorarium and monthly pension to former councillors.
Senator John Kinywa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move that, aware that National Forum of Former Councillors petitioned the Senate regarding the need for legislative intervention to address the plight and welfare of former councillors. Further aware that the Senate Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare considered the petition and tabled its report on Tuesday, 16 February 2016, acknowledging that the committee report on petition made 5 recommendations, among them that, 1 honorarium of 1.5 million to be paid to former councillors who served a minimum of 1 term since independence, and 2nd, monthly pension of at least 30,000 to be paid to former councillors. Appreciating that the recommendation were based on fact that former councillors did not receive fixed emoluments and experienced disparities with regard to years, which made it difficult to fairly and equitably determine each councillor's rightful benefit retrospectively. Concern that the State Department of Social Services and Security, State Department of Devolution, and National Treasury have to date not implemented the committee's recommendation on petition. Now, therefore, the Senate calls upon the Principal Secretary to the said State Departments and the National Treasury to take necessary steps to implement the recommendation contained in the report. Madam Speaker, it is true that devolution started with councillors. That is so because they were the people who were in the smallest unit in our country, that is the local authorities. They did a lot. They were the ones who are building bridges, they were doing roads in the villages, Madam Speaker. They were paying school fees using their bursaries, Madam Speaker. And for them not to be considered, it will be unfair to them because the members of parliament then, they were being paid pension, and when you look at the other government officials, they were getting gratuity, Madam Speaker. So it is unfair to subject councillors not to be paid this amount of money. Madam Speaker, councillors were not getting salaries then, they were only getting allowances, and these allowances were only available to them when they got collection of their revenues from their respective council. Madam Speaker, councillors, as many people would want to insinuate, they were corrupt and they were illiterate people, Madam Speaker. That is not true, Madam Speaker. The truth of the matter is they were people with wisdom. Madam Speaker, if I can remind you our history, you can remember Councillor Olemuya used to give the professor of mathematics, George Saitoti, run for his money in the county, Madam Speaker. So they are people with wisdom. Madam Speaker, you remember even somebody like Karisa Maida, Madam Speaker. He was the spokesman of Coast people. Madam Speaker, he was councillor. Madam Speaker, even as we talk today, the Minister for Tourism, Najib Balala, was councillor, Madam Speaker. So for people to insinuate that councillors were illiterate, it is not fair, Madam Speaker. Even as we sit in this honorable house, we have members of parliament who are councillors, like Commander, Madam Speaker. We have Ole Sunkuya, Madam Speaker. These were all councillors. And without forgetting the man who has capability, Madam Speaker, of even moving rivers. He was councillor, Madam Speaker. And right now, he is the governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waitito, Madam Speaker. Without forgetting my colleague who is here and is a senator for Muranga, Madam Speaker. He was councillor. So for people to, Kangata here, he was speaker. He was councillor. Madam Speaker, even the MCA, if you read properly who MCAs are, and you normally do it from backwards, Malala was just a councillor because the MCA stands for councillor modified. That's what it stands for. It's just a councillor, Madam Speaker. So, to say so, Madam Speaker, we have our councillor here who is here called Malala. He was just a councillor, Madam Speaker. But what I'm saying is that, what I'm saying, Madam Speaker, is that when you look at councillor right now, they are living in abject poverty, Madam Speaker. And they work for this country tirelessly. They were using their resources, Madam Speaker, to give to donation for Harambes, for bursary, Madam Speaker. And right now, we have neglected them, and they are leaders of this country, while other leaders who have been leaders like councillors are there enjoying the fruits of their labor, Madam Speaker, as councillor server. Madam Speaker, councillor cannot even afford NHIF, which is 6,000 per year. Councillors are suffering, and I beg this House, Madam Speaker, to consider this motion and at least support councillors, because many of these councillors cannot even be in a position to pay school fees for their kids, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, today I'm asking for this small token for the councillors, and I beg my colleagues to support so that the councillors can live a life like any other Kenyan, Madam Speaker, because they have been leaders in this country. And I would want to invite my colleague, Samson Cheragai, to second, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I rise to second this motion. Very important. I know most of our councillors, Madam Speaker, there are around 12,000 councillors in this republic from the year of independence, from 1963 to 2012, when we transited to devolved form of governance. I am aware of some of the county governments, as we talk, who have started a process of paying off the councillors. And I think, Madam Speaker, wherever you go, you know, many people forget that councillors or modified members of county assembly did a very critical role in the society. You remember, Madam Speaker, how it started in way back. Even before independence, there were many native council. I wouldn't want to devolve into that, but there were many, as in from 1937, when the councillors in local authorities and local native councils through African district councils in the 1950s. And I think Kenya inherited in 1963 a local government system. And from that time to 2013, we have roughly around 12,000 councillors in this republic, Madam Speaker. And therefore, their functions were mostly administrative and of regulations, And in 1978, there is an act or the law that now is no longer in place, the local government regulations, and it came to Local Government Act, Cap 265 laws of Kenya, and therefore it provided the legal framework on how the county councils, this after the regional assemblies were removed. Madam Speaker, you have to appreciate that in 1963, these regional assemblies, from where you come from, Madam Speaker, where Nandi, Elgeyo Marakwet, Wazingishu County was called Sirikwa County Council. So devolution, essentially, the people who ensured that services delivery were closer to the people were the councillors. So devolution started a long time ago, and they used to play very critical functions, Madam Speaker, such as education, healthcare, and roads. These are the same under the fourth schedule of the Constitution that has been devolved, Madam Speaker, and therefore they did play a critical role. You get many roads were done by county councils where we grew up, for the people who grew up in the village. I know the senators, the city senator of Kisumu County and the city senator of Nairobi County, city senator of Mombasa did not have such opportunity. But we used to see their work was majorly education. There are many things that the council did under courtesy, healthcare and roads, and that is where real devolution came from. And you know, these are the people who nurtured and ensured, even through rural development that were initiated in the late 90s, through the district commissioners, through others, was in partnership with the councillors. That is the first time that electricity now, that is the issue of last mile connectivity, Madam Speaker, for example, was started way back before even the Jubilee government came and ensured it is a reality. And therefore, they did a very good job. And I think we should, in the 12,000 councillors that we have in this country, and I know there are many proposals that the mover has proposed, that we need at least to do a payoff. I know the government is saying that there is no money to pay councillors, but I know there is money to pay them. But I know when we went to address my county assembly in Nandi County, some of the MCAs also are asking, after one term that you have served as a member of county assembly, what happens to you? How do you pay the MCAs? Those are challenges that we need to resolve so that in the near future, we don't need members of county assembly who have retired, who have been honorably retired by the people, are struggling in the village, and yet they did a lot. They sacrificed. They worked for this nation. They have been at the forefront. They are the opinion leaders, Madam Speaker. When you go to those villages, when you go to those wards, when you go back to Machakos County, the people who are conscious, the people who are the opinion leaders, the people who enlighten the public are normally the councillors. So why is it hard to pay even 1 million or 1.5 million? I know the chair of budget committee will say there is no money, but we are losing so much money through corruption. Why don't we reduce corruption, fight corruption, so that we get money that we can do payoff to these councillors? And I think, Madam Speaker, most of them have suffered. I know when transition was done through the TIA Transitional Authority, Madam Speaker, and therefore when the functions were being transferred in the Functon Municipal Council, when the seconding was done of workers, maybe from the national government to county governments, when the defunct municipalities were being inherited, among other, Madam Speaker, I want to say that we need to relook and ensure that these issues are factored in so that our MCAs, apart from getting a payoff, the councillors, sorry, Madam Speaker, so that they can have an opportunity. Madam Speaker, thirdly, is that most of these councillors or former grassroots leaders, most of them have their families. They can't sustain. These are leaders. These are people who have in their position. Some of them, even the housing they have, they live in deplorable conditions. They can, and these are leaders. Leadership is a code-ordained role. And Madam Speaker, therefore, we should protect. I know, for example, why is it, Madam Speaker, that members of National Assembly, you have been a member of Eldoret East, and you have been a cabinet minister. There are many people here like Senator Irungo Kangata, and we are praying for you. You will become the governor of Muranga. So, Madam Speaker, and he was the chair of Muranga County Council also. He has been a MP. The people who have served second terms as members of National Assembly at some point are well taken care of. Madam Speaker, as we talk, the Forum of Parliamentary Association called former elected members of parliament are pushing for amendments under the PSC Act so that they can be incorporated in the Act to get even medical allowance, housing allowance, and many other privileges as a former leader. Why are we ignoring this important subset of leadership that are critical? Because these are the same people who are with the people at the grassroots level, Madam Speaker. So even as we take care of members of National Assembly, even as we take care of former elected leaders, Madam Speaker, we must also include councillors in this issue so that they have families. Most of them, they can't even educate their children. Some of them are old and sickly, Madam Speaker. Some of them even cannot afford. Their families have crumbled because, Madam Speaker, because of they gave it all. They ensured.
Point of order from Senator Wako.
So that I can make. My point of order is this. When I read this motion, is it in order for the seconder, and even to some extent the one who moved, to proceed to justify this motion, create grounds which had already been debated way back in 2016 by this assembly, and that's why this Senate mandated the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare to look into this matter. And they tabled that report. We said, at that time, all these things were said. And they tabled the report on 16th February 2016 and made a recommendation to this, which this Senate agreed to those recommendations because they were justified. They were justified because of the reasons.
Senator, are you saying?
Is it therefore in order? Is it therefore to keep on hammering this point, which has already been hammered many times? This Senate has accepted these people are entitled to payment, and therefore what we should be aiming at in our debate here is to urge the ministry, the relevant ministry, the State Departments, to pay what this house. In fact, it's still a problem of implementation of a resolution already passed.
Honorable Senator.
Is he in order to keep on repeating?
My feeling was that is his way of urging. Can you finish off, Seconder? I think it was his way of urging the government.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and
although I must inform you, Senator, that the requests are very many.
That is why I wanted to be
please
brief.
be considerate to the members that would like to stand by being very brief, summarize.
Okay. No, I appreciate that the AG Emeritus is the institutional memory of this country. But as a country, there is a way we must insist and act. Finally, Madam Speaker, I want to call upon all my colleagues. I know this thing, as Senator Amos Wako had said, is something that this Senate had taken with seriousness deserves. I want to call upon the government that the necessary agencies, let us work and ensure we give a dignified, not a dignified exit, because we don't want to, in any way, but we want in any way to ensure, Madam Speaker, that they live a dignified life. So I call all senators, let us come together, let us support the 12,000 councillors that are watching us. That is the reason they brought to the Senate. They didn't take it to National Assembly because they know the Senate will always protect their interests. We don't only protect the interest of councillors, but the interest of Kenyans at large, because they have a right, Madam Speaker, just like any other Kenyan that demands their right, and therefore we will be interested to ensure this thing is fast-tracked for the interest and welfare of councillors and many others, and many have been mentioned that there have been councillors and now they are still leaders to this level. Madam Speaker, I second.
Senators, I now propose the question that aware that National Forum of Former Councillors petitioned the Senate regarding the need for legislative interventions to address the plight and welfare of former councillors. Further aware that the Senate Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare considered the petition and tabled its report on Tuesday, 16 February 2016. acknowledging that the committee's report on the petition made 5 recommendations, among them that one of honoraria of 1.5 million be paid to former councillors who served a minimum of 1 term since independence, and 2, monthly pension of at least 30,000 shillings be paid to former councillors. Appreciating that the recommendations were based on the fact that former councillors did not receive fixed emoluments and experienced disparities with regard to access to pension services and terms and conditions of pension schemes over the years, which made it difficult to fairly and equitably determine each councillor's rightful benefits retrospectively, concerned that the State Department for Social Services and Security, the State Department for Devolution, and the National Treasury have to date not implemented the committee's recommendations on the petition. Now, therefore, the Senate calls upon the principal secretaries to the said state departments and the National Treasury to take necessary steps to implement the recommendations contained in the report. Honorable Senators, notwithstanding what Senior Senator Wako mentioned earlier, I know a number of you are new members, so debate must continue. I would like, however, to inform you that the list is full, and so please be considerate to yourselves as you debate so that everybody gets a chance. Senator Malala Clofas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm a proud member of County Assembly who has been modified, and now I'm a former councillor, as stated by Honorable Kinyua. Madam Speaker, I stand to support this motion, not because I am a former member of County Assembly, but because I recognize and appreciate that the former councillors laid a foundation on which we are building devolution. Madam Speaker, it is important to remember that these former councillors were not as illiterate as we stereotypically think about them. Madam Speaker, I want to remind you with a lot of concern that these former councillors, once a councillor was elected, they used to elect a mayor. The mayor of the city of Nairobi was a councillor. The mayor of the city of Kisumu and Mombasa was a councillor. And they performed their duties diligently, and we saw development in the deepest parts of our villages. Madam Speaker, I want to remember that during that tenure, the national government, through the local government, used to disburse monies called Latif, which were being used by the councillors. We would see roads being built. We would see schools being built. We'll see hospitals being equipped through that money. And therefore, these people really laid a foundation on which we are building devolution. Madam Speaker, it is sad to note that former councillors are living in a sorry state. Most of them are unable to sustain even their families. Some councillors even come to me for assistance to pay school fees to their daughters. It is embarrassing, Madam Speaker, and therefore, as leaders, it is important we consider this motion. But as we are doing this, Madam Speaker, we would like to have a legislative instrument that is going to implement this resolution. Because, Madam Speaker, in the motion, I have seen that the move of the motion is requesting for a one-off honorarium, according to the report which was adopted by this House, that we have a one-off honorarium of 1.5 million and a monthly pension of 30,000. This is lucrative, Madam Speaker. But we need to have a structured way and rules on how we are going to disburse this money, Madam Speaker. we will find honorable members who are seated in this house, like Honorable Irungu Kangata, who was a former councillor, saying that he's also entitled, because he's a former councillor, he's also entitled to this money. Madam Speaker, we want to warn such characters that we shall not allow them to intrude into this fund, Madam Speaker. You are now a senator and you are not entitled to these privileges, Honorable Irungu Kangata, and some of us who are here. Madam Speaker, we want a legislative instrument that will bar elected or current leaders. Madam Speaker, we have former councillors who are also former members of parliament. How will we handle them? Will we pay them as former councillors? So we need to delve into this matter more deeply and look into matters of concern as pertains the implementation of this motion. Madam Speaker, I want to remind this House that as we are going to look into the issues of devolution, I want to remember that since councillors were able to become mayors and manage their respective municipalities, it is important, as we are relooking into our new constitution, we look into ways where we can minimize the wage bill by making the MCAs become CECs, because these are able people, Madam Speaker. And therefore, as we are headed to the forthcoming referendum, which is inevitable, and we are sure that we are going to a referendum, we are going to look into matters that are going to reduce our wage bill by proposing that these honorable members, who are members of the county assembly, be given a chance to become CCs in their respective county governments. Madam Speaker, I want to finish by saying that I'm in support of this. I want to assure Kenyans, and especially the former councillors of Kakamega County, led by Councillor Shikami, Councillor Mwelesi, Councillor Joe Serenge, that we as a Senate, we are going to ensure that this resolution has been implemented. I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Wako Sitswila Amos.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I totally support this motion. Madam Speaker, and as I support this motion, I hope that the former herdsman who used to look after the cattle and the goats and the sheep of my grandfather when I was a boy, and I used to assist him in that regard, and who through tutelage at my grandfather's home, he then became a councillor in Butula, in Busia County, is listening to me because he sent me a message to say, do not forget us. We were together when we were herding the cattle. Do not forget us. I hope he's listening. It is quite clear that these councillors are entitled to payment. Councillors, when you talk about democracy, the foundation of democracy, to me, lies with the councillors and now the MCS. They are the bedrock of our democratic system. Now, what has happened, Madam Speaker, is that the problems being faced by these councillors, ex-councillors, is the problem that was also being faced by members of parliament. And through our Parliamentary Service Commission, on amendments that were moved by Peter Olo Aringo and so on, we looked after ourselves and began being pensionable also. We also, to an extent, looked after the former members of parliament who are not able to get into the bracket of pensions. they also got one off something. But we completely forgot the area of councillors. So that's why, Madam Speaker, when the justification for this is so obvious that I would not want to belabor that they should be paid and that they ought to be paid. What we should be saying is that why has it taken now over almost 3 years since these recommendations were made for the payments to be effected? Madam Speaker, it cannot be because of funds. It's not all that much money, particularly sometimes when you hear the amount of money that we are losing through corruption in maybe one deal alone. In one deal alone, the money that we lose through corruption is money that can be used to pay off all these councillors. And 30,000 shillings per month, to me, in this day and age, is a very modest sum to be paid in this day and age. And there are not many. Many have gone and joined the Maker. But for those who are still alive, let's give them something so that when they die, when they pass on, they know that the country also appreciated the services that they gave to our country. Madam Speaker, I do support, and I hope that the implementation committee particularly will really follow up this matter to the letter to see that the payment is effected. It's the same thing, Madam Speaker, that I think the teachers also, the former teachers and so on, they are not being paid. Let us look after our old people. A nation that does not respect the old in the society is a nation that is not civilized. It lacks manners. We must respect the old in our society. The old, particularly those who are over 70. And I'm glad that I'm now in that bracket. That should be respected also. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity to support this very important motion by Senator Kenywa. I want to say that at times when we see former councillors in our villages, Madam Speaker, it really discourages us even for engaging ourselves deeply into politics. These people are suffering. Most of them went to politics when they were young. Imagine that time when Kangata was a councillor. Suppose he had not become an MB and then a senator, and now his children as young as now being in standard 3. There are some former councillors whom their children are as young as age 8, age 9. Those people, none is ready in the society to support them. I remember very well, Madam Speaker, that one of them came to my house 2 weeks ago asking for support for his children to get school fees. When I asked him why he was not given the bursary, he told me that everybody knows that I was a councillor and they cannot support me. They reject my forms, and even whenever he goes to them, they are told, you were once a councillor. You know, leadership is associated with wealth. And it's unfortunate when you're not wealthy and you're a leader. Hope this young man from Kericho is getting it seriously. So I'm saying that, those people are suffering. No one is ready to support them. Whenever they go for fundraisings, see, the stigma continues that they were leaders, and no one is ready to support them. So I want to say that they are also aware that there is a motion that was to be brought to this house. And most of them, I remember 4 of them came to my house on Saturday asking me, Senator, support that motion when it comes to the house. So I'm sure they are seeing me, and they know that I am supporting them right away, that they be given honorarium and monthly pay of as it has been stipulated. I want to say, more often than not in our country, when something of importance like this come, we talk of no money. But when it comes to corruption, we see a lot of money being swindled by individuals in this country. So we must create always opportunities that we can use money prudently, so that it may also, it's a way also for fighting corruption. You know, corruption is always motivated by money that is lying around and nobody is using it. So some people might think that by taking that money, it's a way of using them. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, that the former councillors they must be supported. And also, by extension, I want to say, even now, there is a lot of discrimination to the MCAs. You find the MCAs now are struggling, and they are closer to the people. These are the people who attend several fundraising, funerals, and the rest, because they are in closer proximity to the people. Right now, Madam Speaker, I hope you are aware that these are the people who don't receive car grant like us, and I want to say that is discrimination. The same people, even when they qualify twice to go to the county assemblies, they are not entitled to earning pension. So these are the things that we must correct, Madam Speaker, so that justice may be equal to all of us. With those few remarks, I am very much aware that the intelligence of a person is always measured by how he can summarize things, but communicate effectively, and I want to belong to that class. I want to summarize by saying I support this motion, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Senator Kabaga Boniface, also summarize.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'm known not to be a tautologist, or a person who repeats himself, like the good Professor Langatu want us to believe. I stand to support this motion, but of necessity, I don't want to repeat what they have said, but I want to say that I salute, I want to join other senators who have contributed before me to salute the former councillors, living and dead, for rendering, excellent services to this nation. Madam Speaker, my concern is on the design of the motion, payment of one-off honorarium and monthly pension to former councillors. I think when it comes to the bill itself on the definition section 2 or section 3 as usual, I think we need to define who is a former councillor, living or dead. Those who are living have no problem, they will be paid if the same will be implemented. But my concern is for the poor woman or a man, if for that matter the lady was a councillor, and we are discriminating them on the basis that maybe one of the spouse went to heaven to be with the Lord. So my urge is that we should not punish those who are deceased, but on law succession, I think they should be entitled, the living members of the family should be entitled to one-off honorarium of 1.5 million. The pensions, they may not qualify for that, but I'm saying the surviving should get that. Madam Speaker, the other issue is the timeline which our emeritus Attorney General, Senator Amos Wako has alluded. I need also to support that aspect, that the relevant government department, that is the principals or of the State Department of the National Treasury, perhaps it should be summoned to show cause why this important area of concern has taken long to implement. Because if you look at the amount, 1.5 million, multiplied by a conservative number of, I think, and I have consulted widely that the senator, the councillors, former councillors were around 20,000 throughout the country. If you multiply that 1.5 million times 20,000 councillors, that will give you a 3 billion. Like they have been saying here, that is a change to this government in terms of the corruption. We are saying, therefore, such money should be given without much ado, without any entrance. And therefore, it's the high time that a substantive bill be introduced in the Senate for us to debate and have the same enforced as soon as possible before the closure of this year. I support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Aaron Kipkirui Cheriot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In the spirit of and the mood of the House, I'll also try and keep it brief because I see that's a trend. And as my colleague, former lecturer, and my good teacher, Professor Langat, has said, summarizing is a measure of intelligence. I didn't know that until today. But I want to say that I support this motion by Senator Kinyua, thinking about former leaders who served this country with great pride and distinction, but on many occasions they are forgotten. And because back in the day, in our municipal authorities, they didn't have the kind of funds that are available to our members of county assembly nowadays. And therefore, in many forums, you'll find people comparing the kind of work that they did and what the present MCAs are doing without realizing that these ones were operating on very minimal resources. And therefore, this is not a very popular topic with the population, especially in these days of austerity measures being discussed, that we need to cut down on cost. And it will look as if we are doing something very unpopular, just thinking selfishly, thinking about ourselves as leaders. But the truth of the matter is that in every work that you do, there is always, at the end of the work that you have done, an appreciation. Many people, if it's teachers, policemen, and any other civil servants, at the end of their job, they have a pension, and there is a way that they are properly remunerated for the work and the service that they did. The most unfortunate lot among us these are the politicians, because many people believe that, one, we are paid more than we deserve, and also, secondly, they believe that whatever we earn during that particular period of work that you're doing is enough, and that takes care of you. They forget that this is a 5-year contract, that you agree with them, you go out of your way. Many times, the truth of the matter that many people do not know, Madam Speaker, is that out of even the salary that, and this I say knowing full well as a member of parliament, that people earn in parliament, they virtually give it all away. I do not know of a politician who can comfortably say they are living or surviving by their salary alone. You are not able to meet the needs and the demands of your constituent. And therefore, when a time like this comes, that you have members in the leadership group who have retired and have since been forgotten, such a motion is so timely. I personally think that the figure that has been proposed by other people, my proposal will be slightly different. I think I would propose that we just pay them something like Kenya shillings 1 million honorarium for every former councillor, whether you served 1 term, 2 term, or 3 terms, just to appreciate you for the work that you did. And consider it, arrange yourself if you still have a young family or you're in your old age, just see how you decently take care of yourself. Because we look at these people as if, because they are old and nobody is speaking for them, they do not deserve this. I strongly agree with Senator Kinyua when, during his moving notes, that many of them, especially the last lot, when we disbanded municipalities and formed counties, did not get anything because Transition Authority never factored into their calculation. There was nobody who would have expressed themselves and say this is the way to go for them, at least if there was a proper movement. And I want to urge even many of the members of our county assembly that if this initiative proves to be difficult to execute here at the national level, then do it at the county assembly. This is something that can easily be done through the county public service board. Ensure and say what is it that we can do for our former members, people who served previously in the municipals that were collapsed and form a particular county, and set aside a particular figure for them, either pay them one-off or see if you can pay a small stipend to them at the end of the month. Because leadership is a sacrifice, and many other times when you're serving as a leader, you give out everything that you have. I can bet my last coin that everybody almost in this house, Madam Speaker, this afternoon, has sent something in the course of just today alone to a constituent, whether there was a burial that was somewhere that needed your assistance, someone was sick and they have run short of funds. There are so many things that leaders do, but it is not formally recognized in the context of what is your job description. And when you're out of office, it is not unusual to find people saying, after all, what did he do for us? Because they are looking for the classrooms that you built, the road. One of the hugest expenditure kitty for any leader is actually the welfare work that we do as politicians, Madam Speaker, that nobody accounts for. It's only you that know that I spend X amount of money every month assisting my constituents, and nobody gets to consider you as work that you have done. And therefore, when there's such an opportunity as is being presented to us this afternoon, we need to speak up for these former councillors. We need to bind all the contributions that will have been made, send it perhaps to the committee that oversees the implementation of such matters, and ensure that it is followed up to the end, and we redeem the image of our former leaders. With those very many remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you, Senator Inima Ketrut Musuruve.
Madam Speaker, first I want to start by thanking you for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this very important motion. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, that when we are talking about councillors, we are directly talking about the counties, because councillors work in counties. And Madam Speaker, I want to say that by the time someone is a councillor, that person is directly dealing with the constituents. So I want to say that at the time councillors were in service, you'd find that the experience they had was not very interesting. Very early in the morning, you'd find constituents at your door at 6 in the morning. At around 10 in the night when you're going to sleep, they're also there. They're not leaving. And I want to say, Madam Speaker, that councillors have played a big role in this country. And it would be just honorable for this Senate to actually ensure that we acknowledge their work. We acknowledge that they've really contributed to this nation, Madam Speaker. Even the money that councillors were getting, probably the money was not enough. But even the little money they were getting, they were actually giving it back to the constituents in terms of funerals, in terms of school fees, and all that. And councillors are the ones who are really on the ground, and they're able to know what exactly the problem is with their constituents. Madam Speaker, when councillors were in service, they were working tirelessly. They gave themselves, they gave their energy, they gave all their time. They denied themselves. And even some of them gave all their family time to the constituents because they were actually called to serve. By the time someone is a leader, Madam Speaker, you're selfless. You lose even your own time with your family. You lose time for friends because you are called to commitment. And when you are called to commitment and you are really keen about serving, there is no way you'll have time for yourself. So I want to say, Madam Speaker, that councillors gave all they had. And there's need, Madam Speaker, to ensure that these leaders who did a noble job do not languish in poverty. As you're speaking now, there are some councillors who are almost begging on the streets. They're not even able to cater for their medical expenses. They're not even able to take their children to colleges and schools, Madam Speaker. And yet they served this nation. There is need, Madam Speaker, to ensure that when leaders are in service and they work tirelessly, we acknowledge them. It is a good thing for them to get a honorarium. The fact that they'll be given a honorarium, a lump sum amount, and I'm suggesting, Madam Speaker, it should be a reasonable amount of money that would help them, even if it's starting a business or even if it's doing 1, 2, 3 things, they should be able to do that. Because it would be very painful. And in fact, Madam Speaker, it would be unacceptable if they are languishing wherever they are. They're not able to cater for themselves, for their children, for their families, and some of them could even be laughing stocks. I can imagine in a village where people would be saying and mocking, can you imagine this one was a mheshimiwa at one point? Can you imagine he was a honorable, he was a councillor? Look, he cannot even support himself. Look, he's not now even a charcoal dealer. Sometimes they even go to that extent, Madam Speaker. So there is need to come up with a policy, and a policy that will ensure that councillors actually get their dues. Madam Speaker, as you're speaking now, in any job placement, you will find that if someone has been working in an institution for a number of years, people eventually get the lump sum, and even after getting a lump sum amount as send-off, they get something at the end of the month. Whatever they get at the end of the month helps them a lot. Madam Speaker, it is very painful. It is really wanting. It is a situation that the Senate needs to intervene, and the Senate needs to intervene with speed, so that the councillors who have been serving in this country, who are so miserable somewhere, maybe at home, will cheer up and see that their efforts have been acknowledged, that whatever they did for this country is being appreciated. And appreciation, Madam Speaker, is very important. Any worker, any committed worker feels good when he is appreciated for the work that he's doing, Madam Speaker. So there's need to really show acknowledge. And by the way, Madam Speaker, even when we acknowledge what they did, it is a form of respect that we are saying, yes, you did this, and as a nation, we are happy. Madam Speaker, there is need for a policy to come in place, a policy that will ensure that councillors are paid. And when we are talking of councillors, Madam Speaker, as one of the senators have said, people like Honorable Kangata will be out of this package. People like Honorable Malala should be out of this package. And because eventually, even when they are through with their term, Senator Kangata will already be on a pension because you'll be serving 2 terms. But think of a councillor who is on nothing at all, and he has served tirelessly. Since the Senate represents the counties and the interests of the counties, there's need for this Senate to ensure that councillors get a honorarium. When they get the honorarium, they'll be able to manage their lives, even in old age. They'll be able to have a plan for their own lives. They'll be able to have a plan for their families, for their children. Because as you're speaking, some of them, even their children, are out of school. And Madam Speaker, it is so difficult if you were once a leader and then you're not in leadership to go for support from your constituents. People will always look at you as a leader, and nobody can even come in to support you in any way when it comes to finances. So if we are able to support them so that they're able to get this honorarium, at the end of the day, they'll organize their lives. At the end of the day, and Madam Speaker, I want to say that councillors have a wealth of experience, even when they're not in office. They have a lot of experience with regard to their constituents. They have a lot of experience with regard to leadership, and they can even give advice with regard to leadership in this nation, Madam Speaker, even voluntarily. So there's need to see how to harness, there's need to see how to really put issues in place, how to put policies in place, and ensure that we bring our councillors onto board and ensure that councillors are also part of the leaders we have in this nation. Because, Madam Speaker, when someone has been a councillor before, it does not mean that if he's not an MCA, then he's not a leader. He's still a leader in his own right because he has a wealth of experience, and it is experience that he can pass on to the other young leaders that are upcoming. It is experience that they can pass on to anybody aspiring to be a leader, Madam Speaker. So I want to suggest, Madam Speaker, once a leader, you'll always be a leader, and people will be looking unto you for advice. People will be looking unto you to give words of wisdom. And Madam Speaker, I want to support this motion. It is a noble motion, and it is a motion that should not just end here, Madam Speaker. It should be translated into a bill that should eventually become a law, Madam Speaker, so that we also take care of our councillors, Madam Speaker. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I support the motion.
Senator Professor Kamara.
Join my colleagues in supporting this motion. Oops. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to join my colleagues in supporting this great motion. First, I want to thank the mover, Senator John Kinyua, and our Committee of Labor and Social Welfare for combing through the things that were not fulfilled by the arms of government after the former Senate passed. Madam Speaker, this is a very noble motion. I would like to thank the former committee for thinking about our former councillors. Madam Speaker, this goes a long way in showing the sense of appreciation that this country must always have for people who have served in positions of leadership. Madam Speaker, when you become a leader in this country, there are expectations from the public. And it is true that there are also expectations of the do's and the don'ts. The do's include the service you give to community, and once a leader, forever a leader. Our councillors have continued to be invited for functions. They have continued to be invited for Arambes. They have continued to be invited for ceremonies as councillors. In fact, the name councillor has not left them. Madam Speaker, there are also the don'ts that as a leader you are supposed to have. You are not among those who don't have. As a leader, you are not expected to ask for bursary. As a leader, you are not supposed to ask for arambes. And our councillors have become victims of the do's and the don'ts of being a leader in our society. It was therefore a very noble idea that they must be given a long-term compensation for the work that they did. We know in any job, and Madam Speaker, including our house girls today, they must have a savings for a pension through NSSF. And it is because they must leave after they have retired. It is therefore with great appreciation of the former Senate that I support this motion, that our councillors should be taken care of, not just with a lump sum, but continuously so that they can do something for themselves. I would not support the proposal from the Senator of Kericho that they should be given lump sum only, because then they will fall under the motion that the same senator brought the other day, that we must take care of them at old age. We need to take care of them now and forever instead of classifying them now and putting them in the cluster of the motion of yesterday that at old age we must appreciate them. It is very important that somebody that has served society that has served the public is taken care of as they transit out of their jobs through a pension system. So I would like to support both, that actually they get their lump sum. And I want to agree with the senators that have said 1.5 million is even not much this time. It is good for them to go and do something for their families, invest something little, including, because 1.5 may even only help you invest in a kiosk, but at least they will have some income for themselves and they will be able to live their lives without necessarily depending on their children. The reason we have a program for the aged is basically because we want Kenyans to be independent of their children. And this is the only thing that we can do for these councillors. The issue of giving them 30,000 per month can only enable them to live with their spouses in a decent way. Madam Speaker, I have had occasion when a councillor has invited us for an Arambe to send their own child to university. And it was so pathetic because you find that the public still imagine that you were a councillor, you didn't invest for yourself, you did not do anything for your children, now you are inviting us. How can a councillor be inviting us? And again, this is really a misunderstanding of what this position does. Because while the same councillors were serving, to support that as we finish the issue of the councillors, we start thinking about the issue of MCS, senators, members of parliament, so that we actually have a system that is properly structured, and you go into these leadership positions knowing exactly where it will take you and what you can benefit, what your benefits will be after that. So let this be the last one, Madam Speaker, that we are going to deal with retrospectively. Let's plan as a country. When the Salaries and Remunerations Commission was established, Madam Speaker, I remember I was in the 10th Parliament, and the debate was, we would like to know the compensation of the president right down to the cleaner of the president. And at that time, we were saying, both in salary, benefits, and what they will take home as their pension. I think if we revisit and structure everybody so that every employment in this country, every profession in this country gets to get remuneration that is for the day and for the future, it is really going to solve a lot of problems. So, Madam Speaker, I would like to support strongly and congratulate the committee for picking up what was already getting into the archives. And I would like to join my colleagues by saying, let this be done as soon as possible. Let the responsible principal secretary, CS, actually look into this so that our councillors can be paid as soon as possible. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Senator Irungu Kangata.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to rise and support this motion for several reasons. Reason number one is that councillors who used to serve in the former local authorities used to do a very important job. And Madam Speaker, there were various pension schemes which were originally intended to assist them once they retire. We have, for instance, the LAPSET, I don't know, LAP Fund, local authorities, the pension fund, all those entities. But they were not structured well, Madam Speaker. One, there were several instances where money was not being remitted to those authorities. Two, it was also not clear as to who is entitled to that. Three, Madam Speaker, an issue arose as to who benefits. Is it a councillor who has served 1 year, 1 term, 2 terms? Is it after you have done several periods which are broken? I say that, Madam Speaker, because to the best of my knowledge, the people who have been somehow been paid something post their term, to the best of my knowledge, Madam Speaker, were those who served for 20 years consistently. And there were so few, Madam Speaker. To me, that is unfair, because when you compare with other professions, other areas, once you serve a position, at the end of your term, you are usually entitled to a honorarium. Madam Speaker, if I look at this motion, it is talking of a honorarium, a one payoff. So therefore, it will not be a burden on the taxpayer, Madam Speaker. This is in tandem with general labor practices, which have been happening world all over. It will not be an exception to Kenya. So therefore, I support this idea because I know it will not be a burden to the taxpayer. It is a one-off payment. It is something that happens in all forms of employment, Madam Speaker. When you employ a person for a certain period, a contractual period, let's say 1, 3 years, 4 years, at the end of it, you are supposed to give a certain honorarium. But for the councillors, that never happened, which is, to me, is unfair. Again, Madam Speaker, there's the problem of the transition of local authorities to the counties. You'll find several counties ignored the liabilities which were owing after that devolution came into effect. And one of the areas, in my opinion, which to me was owing is the aspect of human resource, particularly the councillors' aspect, or their emoluments, the money that they were owed to have been paid by various local authorities. Madam Speaker, at times I find it funny that the people who are at the apex of leadership or government, they usually get an unfair treatment compared with the people who are below them, that is the employees. You'll find a clerk in the former local authorities getting paid some lump sum. You will find a chief officer, you will find an employee who is not elected by the people getting some money, whereas a councillor who has been elected by universal suffrage not getting anything in return for the huge service that has been rendered to the public. Madam Speaker, I want to give tribute to the people we served together in Murang'a Municipal Council between the year 2002 and 2007. In particular, I know of one councillor who was not a Kikuyu. I come from a predominantly Kikuyu region. And we used to vote for him. He was called Councillor Oluoch. Notwithstanding, he was not a Kikuyu. In fact, he had some disability. So he is a Luo. He has some disability. He never used to converse in Kikuyu, but the people of Murang'a used to vote him day in, day out. That, to me, shows that councillors used to rise above ethnicity. There used to be people who can be able to rhyme very well with the people, and to me that was so positive, and we need to celebrate councillors. And that is why I'm supporting of this motion. It makes all the sense why we should push for this motion to come into place. Of course, the question then will arise once we pass this, because I know it will pass, what happens? I would urge the mover of this motion to move with speed and talk to the committee that is in charge of implementation. We ensure the money is allocated and these people get their right dues. I know some people who have even served for almost 30 years. My friend Kamande, who has been the councillor for Kagondoini in Kandara, he has served for a very large period. In fact, he lost the other day after serving almost 30 years as a leader. Such a person, it means he has expended all his productive years in leadership. and therefore he deserves some payment. Otherwise, probably he could have done other things apart from being a politician. And you know, this work of leadership at times is not paying. You'll find you put all your energies to public, all your resources you expend with the public. So at times you don't even accumulate for your family. And therefore, in such an instance, we need to reward those people who have served this country well. And to me, those people include councillors. The councillors have done a very good job. Were it not for them, Madam Speaker, there will be no resources, there will be no assets which we would have been succeeded, would have been devolved into now the so-called county government. They are the leaders, they're the pioneers of the entire superstructure that is called devolution. Madam Speaker, I rise and I support.
Senator Ali Abdullahi Ibrahim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm happy to be the last one. I stand to support the motion. I've never been a councillor like many of my friends here, but I know what they do. They are very helpful people, very important people in the community, because they are the ones who are there at the grassroots. Whenever there are problems, whenever we talk of rallies, whenever we have clashes, whenever there are problems of the family level, those are the people who solve those issues. And they suffer more than anybody else. MPs are away most of the time. The best they can do is appear there over weekends. Senators the same. The former councillors were real grassroots leaders. And they are very important for this community. Up to now, in our areas, we really depend on them. They have all been thrown out because most of them were illiterate, and because of the condition of education, many of them are not even MCAs now. But when you compare the MCAs and the councillors, because the MCAs are mostly young men who have just gone to school, so they don't know the traditions, they don't know what should be done with these problems at the family level, at the constituency level, at the ward level. So we still use the councillors up to this time. So if we were able to give them the one-off honorarium without even limiting it, some people will say that politicians just fight for themselves. But sometimes you just have to do that. Because this world, nobody's going to help you if you don't help yourself. And the reality is that councillors are very important, and they do a lot of things for this community at the grassroots level, as I've said earlier. And the 30,000 shillings per month will not be much, but it will help them at least give some little tokens to help their families at those areas. Every time I go home, several of them come, they always petition us. This is what is happening. Why is the Senate not helping us? Why is this not helping us? I will also urge, as my earlier friend said before, that the MCAs also have problems right now, sincerely. Some of them, especially the nominated, don't even get mileages. I don't know why. So some of these issues should be looked into, and this is the responsibility of the Senate, because the Senate is the custodian of the county, and we need to help whatever we can for the county leadership. I beg to support. Thank you.
Having no other request, I now call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues who have supported this motion. And mostly I want to thank Senator Cherargei, who seconded it. I want to thank Senator Cleopas Malala, Senator Amos Wako, Senator Dr. Christopher Langat, Senator Boniface Kabaka, Senator Aaron Cheriot, Senator Gertrude Msuluve, Senator Ali Abdullahi, Senator Professor Margaret Kamal, and Senator Irungu Kangata. Madam Speaker, I have listened to their contribution, but I only want to mention what Senator Aaron Cheriot said. He talked about 1 million as to be paid once. and they should not be given pension of 30,000 per month. Madam Speaker, it is in order to be giving them 30,000 per month. That is so because, Madam Speaker, the number of these councillors is not increasing, Madam Speaker. Many of them are dying because of their health is deteriorating because they don't have money. Some of them because of old age, Madam Speaker. So for me, if you give 30,000, the amount will keep on reducing, Madam Speaker, when you look in totality, because the number keep on reducing because some of them are passing on, Madam Speaker. So I would urge my colleague to maintain the 1.5 million honorarium and then the pension of 30,000 per month, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to mention what Senator Kangata said concerning the other member of staff of the county. Then the county councils, them they used to get their money, the clerk, the chief officers, them they used to get the money. But the elected person, Madam Speaker, they were not being given any money. And that is discrimination, Madam Speaker. If you go to Laikipia, Madam Speaker, you have many councillors who have served for many years. You have like Councillor Kiguru, Madam Speaker. We have Kanyeki from Mutara, Madam Speaker. We have Irura from Nanyuki, Madam Speaker, who has been mayor for a long time. We have Mashomba. We have, Madam Speaker, we have these people, and they are suffering right now as we talk, Madam Speaker. Some because of disease, and others because they don't have any money. Even we have like even Councillor Gesheru from Minor Village. Madam Speaker, I would want to encourage and urge the implementation committee, Madam Speaker, to follow with the relevant department of the government that we have mentioned, Madam Speaker, to ensure that what we have said is implemented, Madam Speaker. And I want to assure Kangata that I'll move with speed and I'll be up to the task to make sure that what we have said, Madam Speaker, is implemented. And with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Honorable Senators, I determine that this is a matter that does not affect counties and therefore will not call for a vote by delegations. And I therefore proceed to put the question. That aware that the National Forum of Former Councillors petitioned the Senate regarding the need for legislative interventions to address the plight and welfare of former councillors. Further aware that the Senate Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare considered the petition and tabled its report on Tuesday, 16 February 2016, acknowledging that the committee's report on the petition made 5 recommendations, among them that one-off honoraria of cash 1.5 million be paid to former councillors who serve a minimum of 1 term since independence, and 2, monthly pension of at least cash 30,000 be paid to former councillors. Appreciating that the recommendations were based on the fact that the former councillors did not receive fixed emoluments and experienced disparities with regard to access to pension services and terms and conditions of pension schemes over the years, which made it difficult to fairly, equitably determine each councillor's rightful benefits retrospectively. Concerned that the State Department for Social Services and Security, State Department for Devolution, and the National Treasury have to date not implemented the committee's recommendations of the petition. Now, therefore, the Senate calls upon the principal secretaries of the said state departments and the National Treasury to take the necessary steps to implement the recommendations contained in the report. As many of that opinion say aye, as many of the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 14, motion. Usage of signing exact English, SEE, as a mode of instruction for persons with hearing impairment.
2018 with consultations with the mover. It is agreed that the same be deferred. Next.
Order number 15, report of the Senate delegation to the African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption, APNAC conference.
This order, senators, with consultation, the movers of the remainder of the orders in the order papers, in the order paper, are not available, and therefore order, senators, and therefore, honorable senators, having concluded the business of the day, it is now time to adjourn the House. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until Tuesday, 23rd October 2018 at 2:30 p.m.